What's up guys, welcome back to Fantasy Funhouse. It's our first CS2 fantasy, but before we jump into CS2, we'll quickly touch on Blast, because that was the last CSGO event, and I did pretty well. Top 4% in the Americas, very happy with that result. Picked the right liquid complexity combo while avoiding the pitfalls of Furia, who fell off very hard, so very happy with that result. Over in Europe, didn't do quite so well, considering I went into ENCE and G2 at 9 and none of these teams made it to the grand final. But because I had Hobbit, who I thought was a must pick at his price point, and I had the right players from the teams that didn't go far, I still got top 34%. So we take that. A lot of people fell off, so pretty happy with that result. But check this out. This is the team that I put forward as my kind of shooting for the moon draft. So I draft this in the worst team wins category. And it was not the worst team, guys. This is a top 2% finish without using a single booster. If I just played this team, played a couple of boosters, would have been a top 1% finish. Didn't do it. I doubted myself. Even though I believed in big, I still for some reason thought ENCE was gonna go through there. I don't know what I was thinking, guys, but we live with our mistakes. We got a decent result. And as such, we've jumped up the leaderboard. We're up here at number 12, just shy of the top 10. And the goal here is after Sydney to be inside of the top 10. So that's what we're playing for. We'll see how we do it. So let's look at the groups for Sydney. I think for Group A, these will be my predictions. I'll throw those up for you. I think the most obvious pick here is going to be MOUZ. They have the easiest opener against Vertex. I don't think there's any world in which they lose that one, particularly with momentum they've got coming from winning EPL. They've most recently beat Na'Vi in that grand final. And I just feel like with the younger players, they're going to be more embracing CS2. I know Frozen's been playing it a lot in FPL and looked really good. So to me, I feel like MOUZ has the best run to the upper final. Even if Apex upset Na'Vi, Apex, I don't have a lot of confidence in either. I cast them earlier this week in the Yongshipping qualifiers and it wasn't the most convincing CS. On the upper side of the bracket, I think FaZe is a team that a lot of people are going to be putting stock into because Gamer Legions just had the IGL change, whereas FaZe, you know, we know that they've been putting a lot of hours into CS2. In fact, both these teams have, but in my book, it leans more towards FaZe because Rups and Twists have been fully embracing CS2. I feel like they win that opener. And I kind of almost give them the edge against Vitality just because of that rep into CS2. Maybe, maybe not. I also am a little worried about Vitality. I think their prices make them kind of silly to pick into this event regardless, but with the coach change coming through, I just don't have a lot of confidence in them here. Despite having them go to the upper final, I would recommend against drafting them because of their price point. In fact, I think if you're wanting to pick into a potential upset, have a look at BetBoom. Their pricing is very good. Plus, even if they lose their opener, I think they have a pretty good run through the lower bracket. There's a good chance they could make to that lower final and even win it. So BetBoom, definitely a team to keep your eyes on here. Down in Group B, same thing, I'll throw up my expected results. I think this one's actually a little bit almost harder to predict because we don't have really any data on these teams in terms of CS2. Outside of Monte, they're the only team that we know has been kind of embracing it, putting the grinds in. They've already played an official on CS2. So I put actually a little bit more stock into Monte here than I normally would. Plus they looked pretty good in EPL playoffs, even though when I picked them in EPL they did bad, but we won't worry about that. I think G2 scares me a little bit here, despite having technically the easiest run in the group. Huxley said he hadn't even played CS2 at the point they were eliminated in EPL. And that was only 2 weeks ago. He'd only played CS2 when it first came into beta at EPL at the start of the year. So I don't feel good about G2. The only reason I have them beating Monte here is because of the individuals, but honestly, I think it's more likely that Monte win that. I think on the top side of the bracket, also, this is very difficult to call. I think that ENCE should be the team that gets the upper semis and actually probably does beat Cloud9. They were a little checked out during that Blast event, and I wonder if that's because they were focused on CS2, whereas Cloud9, I don't know if they'd made the switch yet, so I actually think I might be wrong about putting Cloud9 winning this. ENCE might be the team that goes through there. Plus, ENCE have an easier opening best of one. And if you kind of look at how the bracket plays out, if they win the opening best of one, And even if they lose to Cloud9, I feel like their run down in the lower bracket is pretty nice, right? You got Complexity, and then you're into the lower final. And I think both ENCE and Cloud9 have a really nice run in that lower final. So I think they're both good choices because of that. So for our first draft, we're going to be going in on a CS2 Gamer Draft. So this is one that we know is going to be filled with players that have been playing CS2. And it's really the best info we have in terms of putting together a draft of players that we think can thrive in a new game on LAN. So to start with, we're going to go to MOUZ. As mentioned, they're the no-brainer pick in Group A, and I think Shuey is a must pick. 190k, he's going to farm against Vertex, and I just feel like there's no one at this price point that's comparable with the run that they have. So you kind of have to pick him. I think a lot of people are going to be running him alongside Jimfat. I think that makes sense. I think that's the most popular combo, and for good reason. His performance at EPL was insane. Very impressive. 205k. Feels like a steal, especially, if he brings that form over. So we're playing it safe for this first draft, and we're going with the classic MOUZ combo. And then we look over towards FaZe. As I mentioned, I feel like it's the team that has been putting the grindstone in terms of CS2, and we're going to pick the two players that have been really putting in the hours, that want to prove themselves in this new game. Rops and Twists. A killer combo. Twist is so cheap right now, 208k. He had a bad playoffs performance, but he blames it on his focus on CS2. That's only a good thing for us here, so we love this combo. Feels like the FaZe combo, and you've already got the MOUZ combo for very cheap. Very nice. Now this leaves us with 185k, which isn't a lot of money, and we're going to be looking to Group B to fill it. Now a lot of people are going to be looking at HooXi. All right, 184k. Kind of feel like against Greyhound could do good. Obviously, he's in G2. We've seen some decent performances from him. But the player I'm going to point out is Bro. 184k. He is the best pick over HooXi every single day of the week. They've been pracking CS2 considerably. They were pracking all the way back in EPL. They've already played officials, and he's got a 1.03 rating on LAN. Much better than HooXi. Monte are definitely the dark horse of that group, and so I think he's a great choice at that price point. So this would be my team that I would put forward if you're looking for a pretty safe team full of players that we know have already been putting a lot of hours into CS2. The issue with this draft, you got 4 players from one side of the group. FaZe are also a bit difficult to call if they're going to make that upper final. They have to get past Gamer Legion. That's a best of one. Could be an upset. They have to get past Vitality, who have shown that they are a team that you have to be worried about all the time. Their individuals are so strong. And then there's the lower final run. Things could happen. You might want to avoid it. And so I'm going to put together a draft where I split the groups. And this is the one I'm actually going to be running for this event. So we're going to start with Group A, obviously. And we're going to be going to MOUZ. Like I said, I feel like you have to. If you're looking at Group A and you're wanting to pick into a team to double up on, it's either MOUZ or FaZe. And I'm going to pick MOUZ pretty much every day of the week, because the combo of players you can get is a lot cheaper for better players than if you went, say, Rops Twist. That's like 220k. You can get Shuey and Yimfat for like 195. You can get Exertion, who's who I'm going to get here, for just 2k more. Now, the reason I'm going in on Exertion is because he's a very aggressive player. And with the Pega's advantage that's in play in CS2, and with the Vertex opener, I just feel like he's got a good chance of farming well. Plus, he was going toe-to-toe with Jimfat in EPL playoffs. So he feels like a great choice here because of that. So that's going to be my combo. You could technically go into Na'Vi if you wanted to go a bit of an upset route, because you can go Alexi and then JL, who's another known CS2 lover, for the same price as Shuey and Fat. But like I said, I feel like MOUZ is the team to go. Now we are going to take a dip in towards the rest of the group. So we're going to pick one player from FaZe, and it's going to be Robs. Now you're going to be wondering, how am I affording this? All right, I put a lot of money into the basket already. Okay, there's not a lot left over. We go down into Group B. And like I said, I feel like ENCE is the best team to pick into. The problem with ENCE is they're so unaffordable. You kind of have to go into Snappy, and then you're getting Madden or maybe Dihar, and it just feels like you're not reaching the heights of what this team can achieve. Whereas, we go to Cloud9, we can get Hobbit and Electronic. This team is a powerhouse of riflers. Riflers are going to excel in CS2. Cloud9's run, while, we don't know what they're like in CS2, we don't know what they're going to show, I feel like they have a pretty good run in Group B, even if they lose their opening BO1, even if they lose that second BO3 after winning the BO1. I feel like they have a good run, potentially in that lower bracket. And with the individuals that we can get for this price point, we've got Electronic 200k, an aggressive rifler in CS2, unburdened by the need to call. We've got Rops to lift us up on the phase side. We've got the aggressive duo from over on MOUZ. This is going to be the Puppeteers. This is the team I will be running for this event. Most likely, there's still a few more days for me to change my mind. Remember, I will put the link below of what I actually run. But it's the one I'm most confident in terms of I don't feel like there's a strong weak point on it. Hobbit's the weakest player, and I feel like when Hobbit's the weakest player in your draft, it's not a bad draft. I do have one more though. This is my Against the Grain draft. This is my one where we push the envelope a bit, we bank on the upsets. And for this one, we go to a team that I flagged during the groups. One that I think is very interesting to pick into because they are so damn cheap. Bet Boom. Zorte. Danis. All right. These two are incredibly cheap to get the duo. 1.19 rating in the last 3 months for Zorte for 203k. 183 for a 1.05 rating in the last 3 months. That's against good tier 2 opposition. That is a great price for a team that can upset in a best of one, a team that's been cracking CS2, a team that's played CS2. I think they can beat up Vitality, and then I think they can do an upset run. I have a lot of confidence in Bet Boom, and I think they're going to go under the radar here. I love this combo for the price and for the performance. We're then going to go into a very safe pair of hands. Probably the highest rated player of Group A, Frozen. Very expensive, I know. But because these two players were so cheap, we can afford him. All right, now there is a little bit of risk going into Frozen when technically you could go into Yumfight, you could go into Exertion, who are 20k cheaper, and then free up some money elsewhere. But the reason that we're doing this is because we're now going to go down to Monte and we're going to get Bro and Demka. Bro, as I mentioned, criminally underrated at that price point. Demka, the best rifler on this team. Between the two of them, I'm feeling very good about the upset run. This would be my team if I was going to go for the 1%er. I don't know if I'm feeling this risky. I think you could maybe change some of these players around and make it a little more risk averse. Maybe throw Frozen away, as I mentioned, get someone better than Bro and potentially lift up the floor that side. But I think that, these teams have a chance to upset. This would be my 1%er. I think Sydney is maybe the most exciting event for fantasy so far. CS2 definitely throws it into the mix, but there's just so much you can do here. The format's great for fun fantasy teams, so I really want to know what you're doing. Let me know below, and good luck as always.